अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी राग ते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So today we are going to discuss 7 fundamental elements. Let me share the screen. Yes. Yeah, you could see the full screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So 7 fundamental elements is what we are going to discuss today. Very important topic in the sense that if you want to manifest right belief, you have to understand the 7 fundamental elements very clearly. So 7 fundamental elements is considered to be a characteristics, and right belief is the goal or the object. Okay. So if we want to manifest right belief, then 7 fundamental elements we need to clearly understand. So again, why it is an important topic? Because in many of the scriptures, this has been covered, starting from Tattva Sutra. And in Tattva Sutra, these 7 fundamental elements are explained, and it has got 100 commentaries by written by different acharyas and scholars and all. So Tattva Sutra itself is a very big part of total Jain canonical scriptures. Okay. And there also the 7 fundamental elements is explained. Then in Samaisar also we have 7 fundamentals being covered. Then in Dravya Sangra, Panchastikay, Chhe Dala, Moksh Marg Prakashak, and many other scriptures you will find 7 fundamental elements. Because understanding the 7 fundamental elements in the right sense manifest right belief. Okay, and our each and everyone's objective, all the seekers' objective is to manifest right belief. If I am pure soul, why can't I myself experience myself? So that's we can say a paradox. Okay, I am being a pure soul, why cannot I experience myself? Okay, so in the Tattva Sutra's very first aphorism, it says Tattva Shraddhanam Samyak Darshanam. Okay, not second sutra, not the first one, second sutra. Okay, first chapter, second aphorism is this one, Samyak Tattva Shraddhanam Samyak Darshanam. So it means belief in the fundamental elements. Okay, Tattvarth, that is fundamental elements. Shraddhanam is belief, and Samyak Darshan alone is right belief. Okay, Samyak Darshan. So if we break this word Tattva Shraddhanam, Tattva plus Arth plus Shraddhan is equal to Samyak Darshan. Okay. What do you mean by Tattva? So again, 2 words. If you break this Tattva word, it is 2 words. Tat plus Tva. Tat means of that substance. Tva means fundamental nature. So what do we mean by Tattva? One's own true fundamental nature. Bhav. Okay. One's own true fundamental nature. In other words, we can also say it is the essence. Okay. And what do we mean by Artha? Earth means substance, elements, object. So when we discuss 6 substances, we use the word substance. But whenever we will discuss 7 fundamental elements, we will use the word elements. Okay. But earth also means substance, earth also means substance, elements, object, many names. And Shraddhan means belief. Belief means it is exactly like this, not otherwise. Okay. So we see every object or every element is with its inherent nature, and that inherent nature, fundamental nature, that is tattva. Okay. So the substance or the object or the element itself and its inherent nature, they are both indivisible. They are both one. Okay. One unified entity. All the 7 elements are distinct from each other, and to know in its true form, true nature, is right belief. So our syllabus is very small, If you want to manifest right belief, just understand the 7 fundamentals very clearly and you will manifest right belief. And that's the beginning of the path of liberation. Okay. So Tattvarth, Tattva plus Arth, why both are required? Only Tattva would be sufficient or only Arth? So they say no. If one only spoke of belief in the true fundamental nature, that is Tattva, then without belief in the substance that possesses that nature. Which nature? This true fundamental nature. Okay. Without belief in the substance that possesses that nature, belief in the fundamental nature alone is not effective. Okay. You will not be able to understand the true nature. Okay. Similarly, if one only spoke of belief in the substance, that is artha, then without belief in the fundamental nature, belief in the substance alone is also not effective. So we need to understand both, okay, the true fundamental nature and the substance. When we understand both in the correct sense, then it is called Tattvarth Shraddhanam, and that is right belief. Okay. So to manifest right belief, we have to understand both. Now, the next question coming up is, what are the purposeful elements? Why there are 7? Why there are not 8, 9, 10 and not 6? So how many are there? So first of all, what do we mean by purposeful elements? Prayojan Bhut Tattva. Prayojan means purpose. Okay. Prayojan means purpose. So I would like to give an example for the previous slide. Belief and belief in the nature and the belief in the substance is both is required. So Totalmalji in Moksha Marg Prakasha gave an example on page number 450 in the English version. Someone may be having the belief of knowledge, perception, color. So now knowledge and perception are the attributes of the soul and color is the attribute of matter. Okay. This is knowledge, this is whiteness, but knowledge and perception is the nature of soul and color, etc. is the nature of matter. If you don't know that, then you also don't know that I am soul and the matter is distinctly separate substance from me. Okay. And when you understand in this way, that is the correct understanding. So we need to understand the fundamental nature also, as well as the substance also, then only we can have correct understanding. Okay. Now the next, purposeful elements. What are the purposeful elements? Purposeful elements means Prayojan Bhut Tattva. Prayojan means purpose. What is the purpose? So the purpose is to manifest happiness and avoid suffering. Each and every individual, from morning to evening, whatever they do only with one purpose, to manifest happiness and avoid suffering. Now this happiness comes in many forms. For someone, the good associations are happiness. For someone, the good feeling is happiness. For someone, things according to things happening according to his desire is happiness. Okay, and whatever they do, the sole purpose is to manifest happiness. Although the definition of the definition of happiness may be different for different people, but each one craves for happiness. Okay, and this purpose, prayojan, to manifest happiness and avoid suffering, that is the purpose of each and every individual. Nobody wants to experience sorrow, grief, pain, suffering, nothing. Everyone wants to experience happiness. Okay, so that is the purpose. And bhut means to be, to become, hona. Okay, so thus those fundamental nature of things or substance without whose true knowledge and belief real happiness cannot arise and suffering cannot be destroyed. Okay, so real happiness and suffering are two opposite things. Okay, if the real happiness is there, of course the suffering is not there. Okay, so you may ask that in the fourth stage, a right believer has real happiness, but still only one quadruplet of passion has gone. The other three levels are still there. But the suffering that was there due to Anantanubandhi Kashai, that is infinite passions, compared to that, when that has gone, the other three are very minuscule, only one drop in an ocean. So it has been ignored. So we can say if real happiness is there, the suffering will not be there. And if suffering is there, then real happiness cannot be there. Okay. So those fundamental nature of substance, elements, things, object, without whose true knowledge and belief, true knowledge, okay, not knowing for the sake of knowing, but true knowing exactly what it is like. Okay, true knowledge and belief, not only knowledge, you also have to have belief in that. Okay, so without whose true knowledge and belief, real happiness cannot arise, cannot manifest. Okay, and suffering cannot be destroyed, are called purposeful elements. Prayojan Bhut Tattva. So how many are there? Only 7. Okay, not 6 and not 8, only 7, 7, 7. If you know these 7 purposeful elements in the right sense, its true nature, then of course you will be able to manifest right knowledge. Okay, right belief and right knowledge, and along with that right conduct follows, and you will be experiencing true happiness, real happiness. Okay, so what are these 7 fundamental elements? Soul, non-soul, jeev, ajeev, influx, asrav, bondage, bandh, stoppage, samvar, dissociation, nirjara, liberation, moksha. So we'll be using quite often the English names only, because once it is standardized, it doesn't make a difference whether we say it in English or Hindi. Okay, but we would prefer to say each and every word in English, so that over a period of time you develop this terminology and then you are good for understanding it. Okay, so somewhere down the line we have to understand the English words, and why not start with that only. Okay, so we'll be using the English words for soul, non-soul, influx, bondage, stoppage, dissociation, liberation. So the next question comes is, why exactly the 7 fundamental elements? Okay, so in general, this is again taken from Moksha Marg Prakashak Ji, 9th chapter by Todarmal Ji. In general, there are only 2 substance elements, soul and non-soul. So last week we had discussed 6 substances. Out of this, the first 2 substances, soul and matter. So here matter is coming under non-soul. Okay, so under non-soul category, it's not only matter but other 4, like medium of motion, medium of rest, space, and time. All come under non-soul. So we have generalized here two categories. So there are only two substance elements in this universe, soul and non-soul. The remaining five are modification elements, okay, which are specific aspects of Jeev and Ajeev, okay. So the remaining five will have two versions, one from the soul side and another from the non-soul side, okay. So these five are called modification elements because they manifest in the modification of the soul and the non-soul, okay. So two substance elements, rest five modification elements. So these modification elements will have two subdivisions, one from the soul side, which we would refer to as psychic, and other from the non-soul side, which will be referred to as physical aspects, okay, dravya aspects. So each of the five has two subdivisions from the perspective of their psychic and physical aspects, okay. So we will have bhav, psychic influx, material influx, or physical influx. Material influx I think would be a better word, but anyways we are using here now psychic and physical or material, okay. So psychic influx, material influx, psychic bondage, material bondage, psychic stoppage, material stoppage, psychic dissociation, material dissociation, psychic liberation, material liberation, okay. Although they are included within the general elements, the five specific modification elements like asrav, etc. That means all the five: asrav, bandh, samvar, nijra, moksha, influx, bondage, stoppage, dissociation, and liberation have been stated separately for the purpose of liberation. So our purpose is to get liberated, and for getting liberated, we should know the seven fundamentals very clearly, not a single less and not a single more, okay. Without true belief in all seven, the path to liberation cannot be formed, cannot be started, cannot begin, okay. So why these seven? Again, the question, we come back to the question, why seven? Without knowing soul and non-soul, how can one distinguish between self and non-self? Because soul is I am the soul, I am the self, and everything else for me is non-self, which is again a category called non-soul category. Now our objective is to get to liberation. So without recognizing liberation and accepting it as beneficial, how can one pursue it? Okay. So without recognizing liberation, so first we have to recognize liberation. And before that, we also discussed we have to recognize soul and non-soul, because without that, how we can practice discriminative knowledge between the self and the non-self. The next come is our aim is to get liberated. So without recognizing, without knowing the nature of liberation, how we can pursue it, okay? So what is the means to liberation? Okay, so the means to liberations are stoppage and dissociation, samvar and nirjara. Okay, so the means to liberations are stoppage and dissociation, and we want to get liberated, so we must know stoppage and dissociation. That is how we can manifest liberation. Okay, so we need to understand stoppage and dissociation. Therefore, knowing them is also essential. Moreover, the absence of influx, okay, moreover, the absence of influx is stoppage. So what is stoppage? So absence of influx is stoppage, and the partial elimination of bondage is dissociation. Okay, so so we first knew the soul and non-soul, then the purpose, liberation. So we have to know the liberation element. Then means to liberation elements is stoppage and dissociation. So we should know stoppage and dissociation. And how does this stoppage is manifested? So it is because of absence of influx, stoppage is manifested. So we have to know the influx also, and the partial elimination of bondage is dissociation. So we need to understand the bondage element also. Without knowing influx and bondage, how can one abandon them and engage in stoppage and dissociation? So you see, all the sevens are purposeful. You cannot leave one also. Okay, not leaving, leave aside living, but even if you don't understand one element correctly, you will have errors regarding all the seven. And when you have errors regarding the understanding of seven fundamentals, right belief cannot be manifested. Okay. So all the seven has to be understood in the right sense. So now we will be discussing one at a time. We begin with the soul element. Okay. Jeev Tattva. That which knows and sees is called the soul. So this is the definition we teach in Bal Bodh. When a kid is 5-6 years old and he goes to Pathshala, he or she, he understand this definition first. What is a soul? What is a jeev? That which knows and sees is called the soul. This encompasses the entire multitude of souls. So all souls only knows and sees. That is the primary function. There is nothing other thing that the soul can do apart from knowing and seeing. Okay. So this encompasses the entire multitude of souls. So there are many infinite souls. Okay. And each soul's function is to know and see and nothing else. So this first definition is very, very important and a valid definition. Second definition, in whom my knowing and seeing is found, is called the soul. Okay. So first one was general definition of soul, where we encompass the entire multitude of souls. Now the second definition is a more refined one, more subtle, okay, than the first one. Here it says my knowing and seeing is found, okay. So there are infinite souls here, but my knowing and seeing is found in myself, okay. So that is the second definition of soul, in whom my seeing is and in whom my knowing and seeing is found is called the soul, okay. Third and fourth definition we will learn later on. Let's first complete seven fundamentals and then we will come back to this three and fourth definitions, which is more subtle. Okay. So gradually the subtleness keeps on increasing. So second one is more subtle than one, third one will be more subtle than second, fourth one will be more subtle than the third. Okay. So in this way, we move from gross level to subtle level. Okay. Now, non-soul element. That which does not know or see is called non-soul. Okay. This includes the five substances such as matter, etc. So matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space, and time. Okay. So that which does not know. So all these five substances doesn't have knowledge. So they don't know or see. Okay, they don't have knowledge, they don't have perception. So they don't know and see. They don't experience happiness and misery. Okay, so they are all non-soul elements. Okay, second definition. Other souls beside myself as well as matter, etc. are non-soul elements. So in the first definition, non-soul was five substances. Okay. Matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space, and time. But in the second definition, all other souls apart from me are non-soul for me. So now the non-soul category has increased further. All the souls except me are non-soul elements for me. Okay. Third and fourth we will be holding for now. When we will discuss souls third and fourth definition, simultaneously we'll be discussing the non-souls third and fourth definitions. So now we discussed only two definitions of non-soul as well as soul also. Now coming to the influx. What is this influx? Asrav. The arising of alien disposition. Okay. The arising of alien disposition. So those dispositions which does not manifest by taking shelter of the soul are all alien dispositions. Okay. So the arising of alien dispositions such as delusion, attachment and aversion is psychic influx, bhav ashrav. Okay. And through their instrumentality, the inflow of karmas, okay, which is a matter substance, such as knowledge obscuring karma, perception obscuring karma, deluding karma, okay, all the 8 karmas you can take, is physical influx or material influx called dravya asrav. Okay. So we will have 2 divisions in every 5 elements, which are only an extension of 2 major substance elements, soul and non-soul, or rest 5 are extension or the subdivisions of soul and non-soul elements. That's why we have 2 perspectives. One psychic, which is from the soul side, and another one material or physical side, which is from the perspective of matter substance. Now, what is a bondage element? Bandha tattva. Getting struck, trapped, and entangled. Okay. Getting stuck, trapped, and entangled in alien dispositions. Okay. Now, what is this alien dispositions? So, those dispositions which are not manifested by taking shelter in the pure soul are all alien disposition. So, what it covers? So, it covers all kinds of passions. It covers all kinds of auspicious and inauspicious sentiments. It covers all kinds of conceptualization thoughts, vikalp. It also includes vichar, thoughts. Okay. All these forms one category, and that is called alien disposition. And when the soul gets struck, trapped, or entangled in alien disposition, like attachments, aversion, passions, etc., that is called psychic bondage, bhav bandh. And through their instrumentality, when karmas such as knowledge obscuring karma, etc., occupy the same space as the soul's region, pradesh, or soul's space point, okay, that coexistence is physical bondage. Okay. That coexistence is called physical bondage or material bondage. So whenever there is an influx, there will be a corresponding bondage. So influx is the cause and bondage is effect. So they share a cause and effect relationship between the two. Now we move on to the next. Stoppage elements. Samvar tattva. By taking shelter in the soul, the arising of purity. Okay, so when you take shelter in the soul, the pure manifestations happens. Okay, the arising of purity, the stopping of impurity. To that extent, the purity is manifested. To the same extent, impurity has stopped. Okay, the stopping of impurity is psychic stoppage. Okay, by taking shelter in the soul, by manifesting the purity and stopping the impurity is a psychic stoppage. Okay, bhav samvar. And through its instrumentality, the stopping of new karma inflows. So karma are not further flowing in. Okay, the stopping of new karma inflow is called material stoppage or physical stoppage, dravya samvar. So the path of liberation begins with stoppage element. When you take shelter in your pure soul, that is the time you manifest pure disposition, and that's the beginning of the stoppage element. That's the beginning of the path of liberation. That is the end of delusion. Okay, that is the manifestation of right belief, right knowledge. Okay, so all this happens simultaneously. Now next comes is the dissociation elements. With special reliance on the soul, like in earlier this one we said that by taking shelter of the soul repeatedly for longer duration, for more concentration, okay, with special reliance on the soul, the continuous increase of purity, okay, continuous increase of purity and the gradual diminishing of impurity is psychic dissociation. In simple terms, without giving the fruits, the karmas are getting dissociated from the soul's substance. Okay, that is called psychic dissociation. Okay, so as you practice discriminative knowledge, the purity that you manifested in the stoppage element keeps on increasing, and that is the true dissociation of elements. And through its instrumentally, the gradual shedding and falling away of previously bound karmas is physical dissociation, material dissociation. Okay, so and through its instrumentality, that means instrumentality of the psychic dissociation, the gradual shedding and falling away of previously bound karmas without giving fruits is called physical dissociation. Okay, so this is very good technique. Due to ignorance, we may have bound infinite karmas in the past, but the present is in our hand. We need not worry. Right now, we understand 7 fundamental elements and practice discriminative knowledge. Okay, and you start enjoying eternal bliss. Okay, purity keeps on increasing, the impurity goes on decreasing. So, with spatial reliance on the soul, the continuous increase of purity and the gradual diminishing of impurity is psychic dissociation, bhav nirjara. And through its instrumentality, the gradual shedding and falling away of previously bound karmas is physical dissociation. Okay. Now the next, liberation elements, moksha tattva. By the power of complete steadiness, firmness in one's own nature. Okay. Once you realize yourself, you don't have any kind of, you can say, passions, desires, cravings to, understand these fundamental elements. Okay. So by the power of complete steadiness in one's own nature and the total destructions of impurity and the full manifestation of complete purity is psychic liberation. Okay. Bhav moksha. And through its instrumentality, the bondage of all karmas being completely destroyed. All karmas, dravya karma, bhav karma, and now karma, all have been completely destroyed forever is physical liberation. Okay. physical liberation, dravya moksha. So in this way, we studied the 7 fundamentals. We will understand these 7 fundamental elements through one example. Okay. But before that, we will discuss merit and demerit very briefly. Merit and demerit elements means punya and pap elements. Okay. These are only subdivisions of the influx and bondage elements. So these are included in the influx and bondage element. So these are subdivisions of influx and bondage elements. Therefore, they have not been listed separately because they are subdivisions of influx and bondage and they are covered in the influx and bondage element. So separately, it has not been explained or listed. Now we will see one example. Okay. And I will explain you all the 7 fundamental elements in one example. Okay. One man was crossing the river on boat. Now that one man is the soul element. Okay. Was crossing the river on boat. So boat is non-soul element because boat does not see and know. It has not got the quality or the attribute of knowing and seeing. Okay. It's a jad, innate substance, non-living substance, matter substance. Okay. So one man was crossing the river on boat. So here man is the soul and boat is non-soul. There was a hole in the boat. Okay. There was a small hole in the boat and from there water was entering inside the boat and accumulating. Okay. It was accumulating in the boat. So if we continue to happen this one, then one time will come, then the boat would be overload and then it will shrunk. Okay. And that everyone would have died. Okay. So what we need to do? First, we need to block that hole. Okay. So first he blocked the hole with a wooden plank. Okay. So that is called stoppage element. We have already uh, 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 what I was into. So he blocked the hole with a wooden plank, okay, or a cloth, thick cloth also you can put in. So that is called stoppage element. Then he took a bucket and started fishing out accumulated water in the boat, okay. And this is called dissociation because he is fishing out water from inside the boat. And this is called dissociation element. Okay. In some time, all the water was fished out. This is called liberation. So the boat is free from water. Okay. That is called liberation. If the water was not stopped, then the boat would have sunk. Okay. Similarly, if we don't stop the influx, okay, we would sink in the worldly ocean. Okay. So it is a great privilege to have true gods, true scriptures, and true monks with us. And with that, you can study the scriptures and understand it very clearly. Okay. So this is about all. Now the 2 points that were remaining in the soul element and non-soul element that we were going to discuss now. Okay. 1 minute. Yes. So first we will discuss soul element. 3 point. Okay. So the first one, second one was more subtle than the first one. Third one is more subtle one. In the modification of a single moment. Okay. In single, ek samay ki paryay, single moment. That act of knowing, which is happening all the time. That is the true identity of soul. Okay. In the modification of a single moment, that act of knowing, janna, always happening, that is called soul element. Okay. So what would be non-soul element? The knowledge perception that knows the non-soul is itself a non-soul element. So it is just a knowledge. Okay. Which knowledge? That knowledge which knows the non-soul, okay, is itself non-soul elements. Okay. No problem. Now coming to the fourth definition. All 7 elements are referred to as external elements. Hence, they are to be renounced. And the pure supreme soul elements, distinct from them, is to be adopted upade. Okay. So here practice of discriminative knowledge is exercised, that we can clearly see. Okay. All the 7 elements are referred to as external elements. Hence, they are to be renounced. And the pure supreme soul elements distinct from them is to be adopted. Non-soul, fourth definition is still left. Let's see. Yes, it is an external elements. Okay. So gradually you see in total canonical scriptures of Jainism, 4 types of definitions of soul and non-soul have been given, and we discussed all the 4. Okay. The purpose is to practice discriminative knowledge. So we should understand each and every element in the right sense. Okay. Otherwise, it will be a problem for us only. So influx element that we also discussed, bondage element that also discussed. So we have discussed soul and non-soul elements, the other 2 definitions, 3 and 4th. Okay. So now we will discuss the soul's errors regarding the 7 elements. Why the soul, after understanding the 7 fundamental elements, is not able to manifest the right belief. Okay. That's a very big question. Okay. So why it is not able to manifest the right belief is that there are errors remaining in the understanding of the 7 fundamental elements. And because of that, you are not manifesting the right belief. Okay. So we can always consciously remove these errors by understanding the 7 fundamental elements in the right sense. Okay. So we are discussing errors regarding the soul and non-soul elements. So far the errors will be there, right belief won't be manifested. So to manifest right belief, we have to understand this soul and non-soul elements in the right perspective. Okay. So first, errors regarding the soul and non-soul elements both together. Mistaking the soul for non-soul and non-soul for soul. This is a very common mistake. Okay. Understanding the soul as non-soul and non-soul as soul. Okay. Example, I am the body. The body's birth is my birth. The body's death is my death. I am tall, I am dark, I am fair, I am beautiful, etc. All these are states of the body. Yet the soul considers them its own. Okay. So all these states of the body, all these are states of the body, yet the soul considers them its own. So it was a matter substance, but due to ignorance, due to delusion, soul considers them its own. Okay. So this is a mistake of oneness, ekatva buddhi. Okay. Nothing is along with me. I am distinct from all other elements. Okay. So having oneness or having oneness is again a flaw. Okay. So there are 4 pillars of delusion: oneness, mindness, doership and enjoyership. Okay. So we'll discuss one after another. So this is called oneness. Okay. I am the body's birth is my birth, the body's death is my death. So this person doesn't establish the unique entity of pure soul. Okay. It has merged the nature of pure soul along with the matter substances. Okay. So this is called flaws of oneness. Okay, ekatva buddhi. The second is this non-soul is mine. Okay, so that is called mineness belief. Mamatva buddhi. Example, this is my body, house, wealth, family, etc. Okay, all the body, house, wealth, family, etc. is matter substance. But if you are still understanding it's to be the soul, then nobody can help you. Okay, so to understand these non-soul elements as mine is again a error in understanding of soul and non-soul elements. So one thing you must remember, that there is no error in the understanding of soul, pure soul. Okay. Third point, this non-soul is mine, is mineness belief. Okay. Mamatva buddhi. Example, this is my body, house, wealth, family. Nothing is yours. You are only a pure soul, only a knower. But due to ignorance, due to wrong belief, you understand this as my body, my house, my wealth, my family, etc. So this is called mindness belief. The third is the soul believes that I am the doer of the non-soul's action. Doership belief, kartutva buddhi. Example, I touched with my hand, I tasted with my tongue, I speak, I walk, etc. Okay. So these are all examples of doership belief. The fourth one and the final one, the soul believes that it is the enjoyer of the non-soul's modification. Okay. So this is again a wrong belief. The soul believes that it is the enjoyer of the non-soul's modification. This is called enjoyership belief, bhoktutva buddhi. But this is example is not correct. Okay. Example, I feel cold, I feel hot, I ate food, I enjoyed the object of the five senses, etc., etc., etc. So this was the error regarding soul and non-soul elements. Now we will be looking at errors regarding the influx. Okay. Both auspicious and inauspicious feelings are causes of karmic bondage. Yet the soul considers auspicious influx as good and inauspicious influx as bad. That is the wrong understanding or the error regarding the influx. Okay. Now move on to the next error regarding the bondage element. According to the fruits of non-destructive karmas, agati karma, substance go through states of association and separation. Okay. Substance go through the states of association and separation. So in the destructive karma, there is no distinctions between merit and demerit. Okay. So the distinctions of merit and demerit only comes in the error regarding the bondage element. Okay. According to the fruits of non-destructive karma, substance go through states of higher association and separation. Okay. The substance goes through states of association and separation. The soul with wrong belief considers these as favorable or unfavorable. And through the imagination, I am happy or unhappy because of them. Blaming the others. Okay, this will not work. Okay, to remove the blaming of the others, you have to understand the attributes of the soul. Okay. So the soul with wrong belief considers these as favorable or unfavorable. But actually, no material in this universe is favorable or unfavorable. All the six substances are simultaneously functioning. Okay, that we understood the last week. I am happy or unhappy because of them generates attachment, aversions, and restlessness. This is the soul's error regarding the bondage element. Now, errors regarding the stoppage element. Self-knowledge and detachment accompanied by self-knowledge. Okay. Self-knowledge means Atmagyan, and detachment accompanied by self-knowledge. Okay. Meaning withdrawal from external objects while being engaged inwardly. Okay. So self-knowledge and detachment accompanied by self-knowledge, meaning withdrawal from external objects while being engaged inwardly. Okay. So the connection is going on inwardly. Externally, we are detached, but internally, we are connected. Is the soul's independent, self-governed, natural activity, and thus blissful. It destroys worldly existence and karmic bondage. Yet this soul, due to its own ignorance, considers it painful and distressing. This is the soul's error regarding the stoppage element. Okay. Soul's error regarding the understanding of the stoppage element. Now the next one. Error regarding the dissociation. The absence of desires preceded by self-knowledge. Okay, so the first knowledge has to come, self-knowledge has to come first, and then the absence of desires preceded by self-knowledge. Okay, so self-knowledge is coming first, and then the absence of desires, which is again a part of conduct. Okay, so first the belief changes, then the knowledge, and then the conduct. Okay, so the absence of desires preceded by self-knowledge is itself dissociation, and that alone is blissful. Okay. The absence of desire preceded by self-knowledge is itself dissociation, and that alone is blissful. Without knowing this and forgetting the power of the soul believes happiness lies only in the fulfillment of desires and does not consider the absence of desire as happiness. This is the soul's error regarding the dissociation. Okay. So soul has got two spatial attributes. Okay. One is knowledge attribute and one is detachment. Okay. Which is also called vairagya, which is also called passionlessness. Okay. So knowledge and detachment are always together. Okay. When you practice knowledge, the belief is also included in that. And along with knowledge and belief, the detachment follows. So detachment is in terms of conduct. Okay. So we discuss this dissociation element. Okay. Dissociation element, for that, we have two attributes, spatial attributes. One is knowledge and the other is detachment. So when you manifest this knowledge and detachment, automatically you bind less karmas and less sufferings. Okay. Now, errors regarding the liberation. In liberation, there is true happiness. In liberation, there is true happiness in the form of complete freedom from restlessness. No anxiety, no restlessness, no perturbedness. But the soul does not know these. Okay. It considers only sensory pleasure as happiness and even imagines that in liberation, the same type of happiness is experienced. This is the soul's error regarding the liberation element. Okay. Hey Gnei Upade. Now, after understanding the 7 elements, what we should do so that we manifest right belief, because our objective was manifesting right belief. The first line itself, it says that Tatvat Shraddhanam Samyak Darshanam. So we will see how practically we can approach to right belief and how practically we can manifest right belief. Okay. So once you understand the 7 fundamental elements very clearly, soul, non-soul, influx, bondage, stoppage, dissociation, and liberation, okay, then we can proceed to understand this, what is worth knowing, what is worth renouncing, what is worth adapting, okay. All this we can only know when we understand the 7 fundamental elements. We have to know the nature of each, okay. Now, so there are 3 words in Hindi, He, Gnei, Upade. He means to renounce, to leave. Gnei means just to know. No attachment, no aversion, just knowing. And the third one is Upade, worth adapting, worth manifesting, worth taking shelter. Okay. So Upade is of 3 categories. One is worth taking shelter. Okay. The second is worth manifesting. And the third one is worth manifesting completely. Okay. Worth manifesting partially, then worth manifesting completely. Okay. So these are the 3 divisions of Upade. Now we will see each fundamental elements and see which one is out of these 3, which one is applicable to each. Okay. So we start with soul. Solely worthy of taking refuge into एकमात्र आश्रय करने योग्य उपादेय. Okay. So souls, before that we missed one line. All 7 principles or elements are to be known. Okay. So the first step would be know all the 7 fundamental elements. The next step is we go to the each and discuss. Soul worthy of taking refuge into. Okay. Worthy, solely worthy of taking refuge into. That is called again Upade. Ashray karne yogya upade. Exactly would be Ashray karne yogya upade. Then we come to the non-soul element, only to be known. So only to be known means no manifesting attachment, no aversion. And when you don't manifest attachment and aversion, then it automatically passionlessness manifest, detachment manifest. Okay. So non-soul only to be known, not to be considered as desirable, non-desirable. Okay. Just remain as it is. Just keep knowing it. Okay. Not doing it. Okay. Influx bondage to be renounced. Influx and bondage are both to be renounced. Then stoppage and dissociation. Partially worth of manifestation. Okay. So partially worthy of manifestation. Ek desh upade. Okay. Stoppage and dissociation. And liberation, fully worthy of complete manifestation. Okay. Pragat karne yogya purna upade. Okay. Complete manifestation. Okay. So this is He, Gnei, Upade among the 7. Now practically how do we manifest right belief? Okay. So in our day-to-day life, we understand these 7 fundamental elements, then we apply this He, Gnei, Upade. Okay. And when we apply this He, Gnei, Upade, the outcome is the consciousness turns towards its own nature. Okay. So when we apply this He, Gnei, Upade among the 7 fundamental elements, the outcome is the consciousness turning towards its own nature. Okay. Upyog turning towards its own nature. Okay. So how practically we do it? Okay. So in our day-to-day life, we encounter 4 elements. Out of 7 elements, stoppage, dissociation, and liberation at the ignorant stage we are not having. Okay. So these 3 are not manifested in our modification. Okay. But we have 4 out of 7 fundamental elements: soul, non-soul, then we have influx and bondage. Okay. So now you know what is worth adopting, what is worth renouncing, what is worth manifesting. Okay. So you all know. So now what you have to, when you encounter say non-soul element. Okay. So non-soul element are just to be known. Okay. No desirable, not undesirable. So when it is not desirable, so the attachment doesn't arise. And at the same time, it is non-desirable also, not non-desirable also. So the aversion also does not manifest. So when there is no attachment, no aversion, it is called passionlessness, it is called detachment. Okay. So when we cleared one element, that is non-soul element. Now the next we come to the influx element. Okay. So the influx element has a board on his head that we are sorrow and we are cause of sorrow. So we are Dukhrup and Dukkha Karan. So who will indulge in influx when you already know that this is a cause of sorrow and it itself sorrow? So why we will indulge? So we will not indulge. Similarly, bondage element, there also the board is there that we are ourselves sorrow and cause of sorrow. Okay. So we will not get entangled in that. We will not get attached to that. Okay. So non-soul understood, cleared, influx understood and cleared, and bondage understood and cleared. Now what is remaining? Soul. So when our active consciousness does not get entangled in non-soul elements, does not get entangled in influx element, does not get entangled in bondage element. Okay. So then what happens? That active consciousness turns towards the inherent nature, turn towards the self. Okay. And when it takes shelter of the self, it becomes one with the self, that soul, pure soul, and right belief is manifested. And when that right belief is manifested, that is the origin of somewhere, stoppage element. Okay. So the origin of purity had started. Okay. With right belief, origin of purity has started. Now with more practice of discriminative knowledge, that purity will keep on increasing, increasing, increasing. Here you will get in the different spiritual stages. Okay. From fourth to fifth, fifth to sixth, like that you will go on ascending the ladder of spiritual development. Okay. And so when you take shelter into the soul, the origin of stoppage started, and with more practice, the dissociation elements comes into play, and the purity further increases, the impurity decreases, and there will come a time when complete purity would be manifested and complete impurity would be renounced. Okay. So this is the practical way of manifesting right belief by understanding the 7 fundamental elements, understanding its errors, and then applying He, Gne, Upade in that, and then putting into practice in day-to-day practical life, we can manifest right belief very well. Okay. Not a big problem, not a big challenge. Okay. With proper understanding, it's easy to manifest right belief. Okay. Because we have to take shelter of our inherent nature, and nobody stops you from taking shelter of your inherent nature. Okay. So it's quite easy from the perspective of the self nature, pure soul nature. Okay. But from outside you see it will look difficult, but it's in reality it is not difficult. Okay. Another example we will see, So the right belief also happens in the subhuman state, elephant, lion, Jatayu, bird. Then we have some other animals also manifested right belief. Okay. So they don't know the names of the 7 fundamental elements. So how do they manifest right belief? Okay. So these two lines written by Todarmalji again from Moksha Marg Prakashak Ji 9th chapter. You can just refer to this. That particular soul in the subhuman state, okay, in the animal state, may it be elephant, may it be lion, okay, whatever it is. He understands this much, that this is me. These are non-self distinct from me. Okay. So apart from self, everything is non-self and they are distinct from me. Okay. Very clear. These feelings are bad. So this is influx and bondage element. Okay. So these feelings are bad and these feelings are good. So that is stoppage, dissociation and liberation. Okay. So even a soul in a subhuman state can manifest right belief. And we have got in the world all the facilities. So why can't we manifest right belief? Okay. Only thing is that you have to spend time after Jinvani, study every day, understand things in the right perspective, come to a conclusion, decision, and then you are good with the decision. Okay. And if you have this good decision making power, you will further progress in the path of liberation, because everywhere the science of discrimination would be practiced. Okay. So from that perspective, this is very, very relatable and very important also. In all the 4 states of existence, okay, right belief could be manifested. Okay. So even in the hell, even in the infernal, okay, which is hell, you can manifest right belief. Okay. Based on your past impression, past preachings that you have understood, and you have not only understood, but you also have remembering power, memory power also to remember that. Okay. So what we were discussing now? Just I lost track in between. The last discussion. Yeah. So we were discussing even in the infernal being also can manifest right belief because of its past impressions. When he had studied this 7 fundamental elements, and based on that, without any support from Dev Shastra Guru there in the hell, he can manifest right belief. Similarly, in celestial beings also, you can manifest right belief. And of course, in the subhuman state, we already discussed. So all the 4 states of existence can manifest right belief by understanding these 7 fundamental elements. Okay. Then removing the error. If there is one error in any of the elements, all the elements will have error. Such is the nature. So you need to have a clear-cut understanding of all the 7. 6 will not do and 8 will also not do. Only 7 and 7, you need to understand it in the right perspective, and then you have to practice discriminative knowledge by applying He, Gnei and Upadhi. Okay. If you apply these 3, then automatically you manifest discriminative knowledge. You take shelter of your pure soul, and the further in your life, the stoppage and dissociation starts taking shape. Okay. So 7 fundamental elements are very important to manifest right belief. In Moksha Marg Prakashak Ji, in the 9th chapter, there has been great discussions on this right belief. And in that discussion, Todarmal Ji emphasized that there are 4 characteristics of right belief. The first would be believing in the true God, true scriptures, and true monks. Second one is believing in the 7 fundamental elements. Okay. The third is, so first one was Dev Shastaguru, second was 7 fundamentals. Yeah. Third one is discriminating between the self and the non-self. And the fourth is believing in the self. Okay. So out of these 4 characteristics, Todermalji emphasized that the 7 fundamental elements, belief in the 7 fundamental elements, is the primary. All other three are secondary. Okay. And if you manifest one, all 3 are included in that. Okay. So if you have a correct understanding of the 7 fundamental elements, you have got the correct understanding of true scriptures, true gods, and true monks. Okay. And you also have understanding between the self and the non-self, and also you know the self. So in this way, this 7 fundamental elements is a direct entry into right belief. In fact, at one of the places in 9th chapter, Todermalji says that right belief itself, soul itself is right belief. Okay. So that also was there in that 9th chapter. So in all, very important topic, and hope you have understood it properly. Still we have some time, so we will be taking up question answers in this session itself. And if it goes further, then we will do the stuti and close the live recording. Right now it is on. You can ask questions. Yeah.
Sir Siddhi, Sir Jai Jinendra.
Yeah.
Sir, I had a question regarding karma. So, karma is basically matter, Pudgal.
Yes. Yes.
What is actually the nature? Matlab, if every substance has attributes and modifications, could you elaborate a little bit on karmas? Because we keep hearing karmas and the relation of karma with the soul. And you know, that whole space point, you know, the word that you used, instrumentality of the dravya and the bhav attachment, that was a little unclear. So,
So instrumentality means nimit. Okay. For
okay.
nimit, we use the word instrumentality. Okay.
Hmm.
So that is clear. The other thing is the karma theory. Okay. So we are going to have the next chapter on karma only. Okay. Because
Okay.
karma is an integral part of soul's journey. Never for a moment soul is devoid of karma. Okay. So karma is a very integral part of the soul's spiritual journey. So we'll be discussing the karma, and karma is a matter substance. Soul is a conscious substance. Okay. So both are different substances. They both have got absolute non-existence among them. Okay. So both are different, both are independent, both are having um, absolute non-existence among them. Okay. But still, uh, there exists a relationship between karma and soul, because without accepting the karma, we will not be able to establish the worldly existence. Okay.
Hmm.
So since we are transmigrating in this worldly ocean, okay, from one species to another species, from one state of existence to another state of existence, that is only because of karma. Okay. If
Hmm.
we would not have any karma, we would be in the liberated state. Okay.
Hmm.
So because of karma, we are transmigrating. So we will be understanding the karma theory in the next class in detail. Just wait for 1 week, and
Okay.
you will have more details about karma. Although we are connected with karma anyways, okay, and getting liberated from karma, okay,
Correct.
that is
Correct.
liberation. But
Correct.
karma doesn't enter the soul, and any of the attributes of the soul doesn't enter karma. They
Correct.
both remain in the same space point, but
Mm.
one does not touch the other.
Other.
That also you should understand. Okay.
Correct.
So karma acts as an instrumental cause. Okay. So after the karma theory, we have this chapter coming on cause and effect relationship. Okay. Karan Karya Sambandh. There we will discuss Nimit Upadan, Panch Samvay, and Shat Karak. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So,
Okay.
so it's coming, but since everything is interconnected, so sometimes it's very difficult to make a sequence. What to teach
What to
first,
do first?
second, third. So even in Bal Bodh, just for the kids which are 5-6 year old, they have used words like Nimit and all. So nobody understands Nimit at that level. But it's the limitations of Jinvani, you know. You
Yeah.
have to go deep bit. You have to go deep bit to understand it in the right sense.
That's okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Jai
Anyone
Jinendra,
else?
sir.
Yeah.
How are other souls beside myself are non-soul elements?
For me, it is non-soul. Okay. So all the souls are souls in themselves, but for me, they come under the category of non-soul elements. Okay. Even Dev Shastra Guru, for me, they are non-soul elements. Okay. My knowing, my seeing exist where it exists, that is the soul element. Okay. Everything else is non-soul elements. So my seeing, my knowledge, my perception is not present in any other substances. Okay. So for me, they are non-soul elements. Simple. And that also is done to practice discriminative knowledge. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So we missed the other two definitions, right? 3 and 4th. No, we covered it. We covered it in short. Okay.
So, Jai
Yeah.
Jinendra, sir.
Yeah. Us.
Sir, the third sentence that you have given in Ajiva, that is non-soul elements, the knowledge perception that knows the non-soul is itself a non-soul element. How is that, sir?
So the third perspective is about understanding the 7 fundamental elements in one moment. Okay. So in one moment, what is non-soul element? The knowledge about the non-soul element is non-soul element. Because we are considering all the 7 fundamental elements in one modification. So for soul, we said knowing, that is happening every moment in each and every modification. So that is soul element. So what is non-soul element? Knowledge about the non-soul is non-soul element. Then what is influx and bondage? The manifestation of attachment, aversion, delusion is itself influx and bondage element. Then what is stoppage, dissociation and liberation element? Samvar Nirjara Moksha. So the knowledge regarding the stoppage, dissociation and liberation itself is stoppage, dissociation, liberation element. So the third one is being considered in one modification, all the 7 elements. And in the fourth one, all the 7 have been said as external. And I am distinct from that non-soul element. Okay. I am that soul element. So all the 7 fundamental elements that we discussed in the third definition, that has been consolidated and considered in one category, that is called external. Okay. External element. And I am distinct from that. So I am soul element. That was the fourth perspective. Okay.
So,
So-
as a continuation of this, does it
Uh-huh.
mean that the non-soul element also knows and sees?
No. Non-soul elements never knows and sees.
Then according to this sentence, that would mean that, isn't it?
Which sentence?
The knowledge perception that knows the non-soul itself is a non-soul element.
So we are considering this in one modification only, no? So who is knowing? The soul is knowing. The knowledge about the non-soul element itself is non-soul element. Knowledge, okay?
Ah.
Non-soul is not knowing. Knowledge about the non-soul element itself is non-soul element in that one modification.
Okay, okay.
Ajiv Sambandhi Gyan. Okay?
Okay.
So Gyan
Okay.
is very well part of the soul element. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Esha, now.
So, thank you, sir. So, I have a couple of questions. One is for the influx.
Hmm.
I'm not understanding that bhav and dravya connection. The
Okay.
dravya, I mean, I understand that it is arising because of delusion, attachment, the passions, aversion, but then I'm not understanding dravya there. And then in the example that you gave us about the boat, right? So we started with the soul, the man crossing the river on the boat being the non soul. And then we talked about stoppage and dissociation and moksha related to, blocking the hole and then trying to
So
remove
the hole through which the water was coming is influx, and the water was accumulating is bondage.
Right. Okay.
And then you
So the
put a
hole
wooden
is the
plank on it, so
influx.
that is the stoppage. And then you took a bucket and fish out all the water. That is nirjara. And when everything has gone out, all the water from the boat has gone out, it is liberation. Now
Correct.
you are
So-
free, you will not drown. Otherwise, if that water would have accumulated, the boat would have drowned. Okay?
Yes. So
Sunk in the ocean.
the influx was the hole that allowed the water to come
yes,
in.
Yes.
And then the accumulation of the water was the bondage. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm,
Correct.
I see.
Correct.
And then the last thing which you said that even the subhuman, I mean the sub in the animal state,
Mhm.
it's mentioned that there's a recognition that this is me, this is not me. So this is
Yes.
distinct. That I followed, but when you said these feelings are good or bad, what was the meaning of that? These feelings are good, these feelings are bad. What are we trying to what
Okay.
was
So the animals doesn't know the names of the 7 fundamental elements, but the experience that they are going through, they can relate to that, right? So those experience which were involving the influx and bondage, which were because of the cause of influx and bondage, these feelings are bad. So that feeling that animal was okay.
Okay.
So he thought that these feelings are bad, so this should be renounced. Okay.
I
This
see.
much understanding he had developed earlier when he was a human, when he read the scriptures, when he listened to
I
the
see.
sermons. Okay.
Got
But
it.
now he is in the soul is same, but now he is
Yeah.
in the subhuman state, and there he only knows that I am this, everything
Yeah.
else is non-self, these
Yeah.
feelings are bad, these feelings are good. So
Yeah.
with such discrimination, he was able to manifest right belief. He was able to practice discriminative knowledge, and that led to right belief.
Right. So the dravya that could you explain that for the
Yeah.
influx?
Psychic and the material, right? No? So
Yes.
basically, there are two main substances, soul and non-soul. These are called substance elements. Okay? Because they are name of the substance only. Out of 6 substance that we studied last week, soul and non-soul. These are 2 substance. Okay? We studied matter substance, but when we say non-soul, so it includes other 4 also. Okay? So matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, space and time, all are non-soul category. Now, just because these are the other 5 are divisions of soul and non-soul elements, so they are split into 2. One is from the soul side, which we call it as psychic influx. The other is from the non-soul side. So that is called material influx or physical influx. Okay. So This psychic one, that's a manifestation of the soul. Okay. So in case of influx, it is attachment, aversions, and delusion. In case of bondage, getting entangled in this attachment, aversion, and delusion. That is bondage, psychic bondage. Then psychic stoppage, stopping of these manifestations of attachment, aversions, and delusion. Okay. Then in nirjara, that is dissociation, the purity that manifested in stoppage, you keep on increasing that with further practice of discriminative knowledge. So that increase of purity is psychic dissociation, and complete manifestation of purity is psychic liberation. Okay. So in this way, we discuss psychic part. Corresponding to that, there will always be a physical influx, physical bondage. So that will all be related to karmas. Okay. Physical part would be related to karma. When we say physical influx, that means the karmas are coming, matter substance, and it is getting attached to the soul in the same space point. And when those karma will come into fruition, the soul will suffer.
I see. Okay.
Hmm.
And the same
Good.
way for the bondage also. So the karma is
Same.
coming.
All the five would be same.
Related to karma. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So the
So one side,
dravya part is all related to the karma
karma.
side.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Non-soul
see.
side. Non-soul side.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Good. All the questions were very, very good. If you would not have asked, I would have missed clarifying this. Huh? Thank you so much. Okay. So our time is also over, and our discussion is also over. And anytime, if you have, when you study more and you have further doubts, you can ask one-to-one also anytime. Okay. Okay. निज निधि निज में पताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है. 9 times नमोकार मंत्र. बोलो द्वात सांगमयी जिनवाणी माता की जय.
Jai.
जय जिनेंद्र.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Jai
sir.
Jinendra.
Jai
Thank you,
Jinendra, sir.